Hello, beautiful souls. I wanted to do a video for you today and talk about love and light and emotional bypass. Meaning that oftentimes when we are attempting to come from pure love and light, we end up bypassing our own emotions. Now, emotional bypass is similar to spiritual bypass, which we hear a lot. And really, technically, there is an emotional bypass within spiritual bypass. I'm using emotional bypass to really illustrate that aspect of the bypass because we're dealing with love and emotions here, and often trying to override any other emotions that might be felt in order to stay in this place of love, or what we see as like an elevated place, right? So there's a few key points that I want to touch on, and one is that there's a hierarchy of emotion, and love being the highest emotion. And I realize that there is an aspect here where you can actually there are certain frequencies, right? So love operates where at a higher frequency, compassion operates at a higher frequency than, say, hate or despair. And I'm not taking that away. We do know that. I'm saying that all of it is part of our experience at the same time. So I don't believe that we're meant to be in a state of bliss all the time, because then what would we have to learn, and why are we here, right? So we're here to learn and grow and expand our consciousness, expand our soul, expand our wisdom, so that we can go have another experience and share what we learned from this one for the next one and build, right? And all of that gets uploaded back to the consciousness as a whole, to source consciousness as a whole, and which we are a part of, and our soul is a part of. So I don't believe that there's a hierarchy, that you're in a higher place if you're in love, this love frequency all the time, especially if it means that you're denying yourself real emotions underneath that: anger, hurt, maybe even worthlessness. That's something you want to work through, right? So if you are putting it over there to stay in this place of love, then it's still over there, and it's not part of integrated in with you. And so you just end up fragmenting parts of your emotional self rather than integrating the parts of your emotional self, right? So it is a goal to be able to embrace all parts of ourselves with love, I believe, right? So that means if I feel angry about something, acknowledging it and working through it, whether that is through a healthy expression in a contained space, or that is working through it energetically, working through whatever created the situation. Maybe it needs to be worked through with a person, but then integrating afterward, but not judging myself for it or another, right? So this applies to other people too. Not judging ourselves for having emotions other than love, or seeing things from a perspective other than love. Like sometimes we see somebody do something really shitty and we're like, that's really a shitty thing to do. And that's okay to feel that way. You don't have to feel like that person did a really shitty thing and I just love it. I love that they did that shitty thing. No, but does that mean that person doesn't deserve love? No. So what I think, being in this place where we're allowing all to be, and we're working with integrating all, and we're acknowledging that all of us have all of these emotions, all of these expressions, and experiences where we're maybe not at our best, right? It's sort of like take a deep breath, work through that, and move forward. And sometimes that deep breath is more complicated and needs a lot more time than just a breath. But we don't want to take away what makes us human, which is a big part is our emotions, is what makes us human. So acknowledging whatever it is, integrating it, being able to acknowledge it for another person without judgment, and that they still deserve love, doesn't mean that they don't have something to work out. It doesn't mean that you condone whatever happened, right? If somebody hurts you or you see someone hurt someone else, that doesn't mean that you have to be okay with it, right? It just means that that's the place they're in that moment in their evolution, in that moment in their life, that moment in their being human, or maybe that this whole life of being human, maybe they are just kind of a shitty person. Well, that's where they're at in their evolution, and maybe they're going to figure it out next time, but right now they're learning something from that. That doesn't mean that we have to hang out with them. That doesn't mean that we have to be that way, and it doesn't mean they don't deserve love. It also doesn't mean that you have to go make them feel good or feel better or give them any of your energy or your love from yourself. What you can do is you can see them from source perspective. You can give them love from source, or you can just say like, hey, yeah, they're just, you don't have to do anything. You can just witness it and just, that's what they're doing. This is what I'm doing. And know that that doesn't mean that they're disconnected from the experience as a whole. So let me say it in another way. I think partly if we could work on reframing or rewording it so that it's not always that everything has to be all love and light all the time, but that everything is God or everything is source, right? If you want to look at it that way. I don't know what word works for you. I say both. But everything is, to me, source, God, is oneness. It is oneness. It is that energy that creates all life, that created all life. It's where everything comes from, and there is a piece of it in everything, and you cannot separate it. We can think we separate it, right? But it's not separate, even inanimate objects, right? It's all a part of. So, and that energy you could see as love, right? But everything being a part of, that means the light, the dark, that what we see as the good, the bad, it's all a part of. So what we want to work toward for ourselves, what I want to work toward for myself anyway, is to be able to accept all parts of the self, acknowledge them, give them what they need to become part of the whole, so that I as a whole am more and more present and can participate in this reality as a present and conscious being and create consciously with my fellow humans, right? So that we're consciously creating together in unification with each other and with the planet. So we don't get there by skipping what's unique to this human experience. I know that it is muddy sometimes, and it is uncomfortable sometimes, and sometimes it feels very just kind of yuck, like yuck. Humans are, they're disdainful, gross, shitty, whatever, I mean, there's some nasty stuff that goes on out there, but there's also some really beautiful stuff that goes on out there. And there's some really beautiful stuff inside of us. We have the dark and we have the light, and being able to look at it, integrate it, bring it into wholeness is what is going to bring us to the next step in our evolution. We have to be fully present. We have to incorporate all of this, all of us, right? All our parts, so that we can be fully present, so that we can consciously participate here. Because if we're not consciously participating, we're going to continue to have our reality unconsciously run for us, which is what has been happening, right? So we're all aware of all the different powers that be, whatever your focus is, whether you want to call it the cabal or you want to call it the Illuminati, or there's our world has been being run for us because people have been checked out. So in order to become present, it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable, and it means we got to look at all the aspects, right? And work with healing, accepting, loving all the aspects of ourselves. Because if we can heal and love and accept all the aspects of ourselves, then we have compassion and understanding for that person who's not there yet and may not even get there in this lifetime. But having compassion for where they are gets us all that much closer. It gives us the understanding that we're all just on our journey, and we're in different places on our journey. So there is no good or bad feelings. There are no right or wrong feelings. All feelings are equal in that they all need attention. They all need to be looked at. They all deserve to be processed. It doesn't mean we need to stay in them for a really long time or get stuck in them, but work through them, not deny them, right? So not denying, bypassing the emotions, bypassing what gets us to that next step. So not leaping, but actually moving through what is not terribly comfortable all the time to get to the next step. So that's the journey that we're on. I hope that you find that helpful or compelling. Again, if you're enjoying these videos, please feel free to subscribe, and you can also hit the bell for notifications as to when new videos come out. I'm also always open to receiving contact as to specific areas that you'd like me to talk about and do a video of. All right, much love, everyone.